What's up, guys? Welcome back to Overrevved. We're working on our 1965 van project again. We're back working on the motor. If you missed episode 1 when we were taking this thing out. Shoot. Check it out so you can get caught up. But anyways, our main goal with this one today is I kind of took the liberty of already getting it tore down just a little bit, looking at some of the parts underneath, looking at how it was doing. There was a little bit of substance in the oil that I'm not too sure what it was, but I'm not going to concern myself with it right now. But anyways, we got some parts that are starting to flow in through the mail. So I thought we could get in here and start diving into it, get some of these new gaskets, new parts put on the motor, and maybe scrub her down, give it a little bit of a bath and some paint. That way it's nice and clean looking at least. I know most of these gaskets and stuff are gonna be a huge pain once we put it back into the van because it's a terrible little working area. That doghouse in between the seats is not a fun thing to work with. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing a lot of this engine stuff and getting some of the parts on and paint on, and then we can get that other van in here and finally start putting this motor in where the other one's sitting. Alright, so at this point I'm just going to start working through my gasket kit that I got here and start putting some of my cork gaskets on, some of my cover gaskets, seals, that kind of thing. We'll just get those all out of the way and dressed up, like I said before. That way, while I'm cleaning the block up to do some painting, everything's covered back up and I'm minimizing how much debris I'm throwing inside of that engine while it's apart. So. So one of the things I thought I was having problems with when I fired up the motor when it was on the other van was the water pump. It didn't seem like it was circulating water, and it kind of was heating up on me a little bit when I was running it. I tried the thermostat just to see something real quick and easy, and thermostat seemed to be fine, but I didn't notice anything flowing after that. So I thought, well, maybe I got a water pump issue. It wasn't leaking from the weep hole, and after I took the one off of this motor, that does not look like a bad water pump. And looked at it, which it's right here, really didn't appear to have any issues. So I got a new water pump though. I'm gonna throw it on here. Whether we have problems later with it still overheating, beats me. I guess we'll find that out. So one upgrade that I was really craving was to get the valve cover that I found in the back of one of the vans back on it. It's one of the cool Chevrolet valve covers, and I think it came off of this motor. Sees how this one had a cheaper aluminum one that they had painted over. So I don't know, I'm old-fashioned, I guess. I like a old classic looking valve cover back on an old classic looking motor. Alright, I'm at a point where this motor needs to roll over because I'm going to have to do the rear main seal in the back and and then do the oil pan. So it's definitely going to be a lot easier if this thing's upside down. So probably end up making a mess. A couple things I'm going to be addressing while I'm in here. Like I said before, the rear main seal needs to get replaced because that's almost always leaking on any motor, let alone an old one. And the oil pump, I think I'm going to put the seals and gaskets on that oil pump too while I'm down in here. That way I don't risk losing oil pressure or something, you know, in the future and have to pull pan out of it, which is a real pain. So, but these are a burden because these are underneath the rear main cap, which is the crank cap, and all these crank caps just house your crankshaft inside of there with the journal bearings. So I actually have to remove the rear cap and might even have to remove a couple other caps, if not all of them, to get a little bit of lift out of this rear crank so I can slide that two-piece seal down underneath the crankshaft on the other side and then put the other half into the cap and put the cap back on. So a little bit of a pain, but something that's got to be done. Pretty much ready for a little bit of scraping and some paint. Ooh! Ooh! Okay, what I'm working on now is just scrubbing down some of the debris and gunk that's on this motor. Get that off of there, and we'll clean it up with maybe a little degreaser or something. Just getting it ready for paint, making the paint stick a little better. I know this is definitely just a 2-minute quick throw it together, gaskets, paint. It's gonna be good from 10 feet, 20 feet maybe. Just something to make it look a little cleaner, make me feel better about it at the end of the day. But should work out good. Boom, engine is done. A couple things you guys didn't really get to be a part of. The intake and exhaust manifold that we took off the old motor had some cracks in it. It's in pretty bad shape, but luckily we've got a perfectly good donor motor in that other van. It's a 230, this is a 250, basically the same motor. The intake and exhaust manifold were in great shape, so I robbed that off of that one to put on this one. I also took that carburetor off, cleaned it, rebuilt it, threw a pretty cheap carb kit in it while it was apart. So you're almost guaranteed for that to not work correctly. Other than that, we got new fuel pump, new alternator. I had to move the alternator forward a little bit to try to help my belt angle. It's still not perfect, not what I'd like to see, so it might chirp a little bit. That motor out in the other van leaves more questions than answers. I thought someone was tearing it apart because they had a problem, needed to fix something on it, but the more we took that one apart to steal parts off of, the gaskets look new hardware on it, so kind of looks like they were maybe putting it back together from a repair or something. Not entirely sure, but maybe that'll turn out to be an okay donor motor for one of our other projects down the road. Might not be in that bad a shape, but distributor is probably the best looking distributor I got in the whole fleet that was on this engine, so I kept that, threw some points cleaner in it, put some new plugs in it, so hopefully it runs great for us. It's ready to go into the other van, so let's get that other project van yarded in here, get it up in the air, take the motor out of it, and put this one in its place. Talked my wife into sitting in here and steering for me.
Oh, there's no seats at all.
No.
See that camera riding on the wheel?
Okay, I heard it from multiple people on this one to not do what I did on the last one. They said it is a lot easier to separate the two, take the transmission out the bottom, yank the motor right out the top of the doghouse through the side doors. The only thing I'm questioning is the doghouse itself. Hopefully it fits up through there. It looks like it kind of bottlenecks and gets a little narrow, but they're saying it's possible. If the doghouse has to come out though, it's super rusty and I don't really see it coming out of there too easy, so time will tell. But that's our game plan. We're gonna try to take it out in 2 different pieces, and that way we don't gotta take it to the ceiling and have stuff tipping over on us this time. Okay, looking in here, I'd say they're onto something. Looks like there's enough room to get her up and out that doghouse. Just gotta pull that radiator, pull the trans off the back. I think we'll be able to either snake her out through the passenger door or we can go through the side doors. Well, it fit. I'm not gonna boast that it was a whole lot easier, but I definitely avoided that, jack situation. I think if I had a lift, like a car lift, I'd probably still go out the bottom and back in through the top because I could put everything together in one piece. But it was definitely, for my situation, my scenario, being in a garage, I would choose that. But if I had a lift, perfect world, I would definitely be taking it out the bottom in one piece again. So, but it worked. We're out. So now all we got to do is clean stuff up a little bit and put the new one back in. One thing I do have to address while I'm in here is the brake pedal. Went to the floor when we got it, knew we had no brakes, dug in a little deeper, one of the brake lines is cut. So I ordered a pile of parts for this thing, just expecting the worst, because I'm sure moisture and everything else got inside of that brake system. So we've got a new master cylinder, new brake lines, shoes, wheel cylinders for the front, basically everything to rebuild the front. The rear, I'll worry about that when I come to it, but new master for the front, and all new hardware. So anyways, we're gonna tear these things apart and then it'll just be good, because since we got to take the wheel bearings and everything apart to get the drums off, then we might as well grease, repack, tighten those up. So kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So this is interesting because everything in here looks new. Shoes, springs, hardware, I mean, even down to the wheel cylinder. I would say it looks all like it was replaced at some point. Looks a little rusty now, but it was dragging. And like I said, I know the master cylinder went to the floor and the brake line was cut, so maybe I don't need new hardware. Okay, my curiosity got the better of me, so I dove over here to check the second side, and the second side appears to be like somebody's been in here and replaced everything. You mean even the brake line doesn't look that old, so I might, you know, for once, I was trying to be ahead of the game, be smarter than the project, order parts. So I had them here ready to go, and everything looks new. So I might have just wasted money on a bunch of parts I don't even need. Master cylinder, I need that, but front brakes, they look like they're all good. Okay, what I'm going to be working on now is just bench bleeding this new master cylinder before I throw it onto the van. Basically just filling it up with some brake fluid and then plunging it with a screwdriver or push rod just until I see nothing but fluid rather than air coming through there, and that'll really streamline the bleeding process when we're underneath of it. What I'm going to be working on now is putting the new clutch that we got for this thing on it. I just went ahead and ordered a new one because the ones that were on it originally didn't look very good, and I didn't feel like opening all that back up to redo it later. So anywho, we got a new clutch, new parts going on the back, so that'll be nice. All right, new day with a ton of work on our plate if we want to get this thing running by the end of the day, and that is our main goal. I had that for last goal, didn't make it, so hopefully this day rolls a little bit better. We've got most of the day, but it is pouring down rain, so let's get after it. One of the biggest things I'm not looking forward to is this one right here, that fuel tank. The one that's in it, I can hear it's dry. There's stuff in it. The other one, we've ran off of it. I know there's some gas and some treatment in it. So I'd really like to swap those out, and that is gonna be a huge pain. There is like a ton of debris under this one. Hoses are stiff, clamps are rotted. I'm not looking forward to it, but I need to just do it. I need to get it done because that would be a huge part in not sucking up a bunch of stuff into our fuel lines and filters, because when I hit on that thing, I know it's in there. So that'll be one of our biggest jobs today. If you watch closely in this video, you can almost see the exact time of when I stopped caring. Another thing on our list that we're dealing with is the push rod for the clutch. My clutch pedal's basically on the floor. Thought I could take it apart up at the pedal because I was like out of adjustment on the rod and just turn my pedal back on the linkage. But that is keyed a certain way. I thought it was just splines, but it's keyed. So you can only put it on there one direction. So I think what I've decided to do is I'm gonna cut my push rod and lengthen my threads out a little bit because I don't need much more than what it's got. I think it's just wore out old stuff. So I'm gonna cut this down, add a little length on my threads. That way I can twist this adjuster and that'll push back on the linkage, bring my pedal back up, and then I'll have full throw on my clutch. So.
I see my town in better mirrors, got a full tank of bad memories. Time is one hell of a killer, putting me out of my misery. One by one, I hold you in. They drop, then they get in. Burn that bridge and burn this land with bullets and gin. Anyway, we're gonna die. One moment, forever. Out of that, I love starting. I can't get enough. Anyway, we're gonna die. Right now, I fear nothing at all.
Very good. Okay, I think we're finally there. This thing has been fighting me tooth and nail every step of the way. We dealt with the clutch linkage, throttle linkage, just about everything on this old girl is rusted and seized or broken, missing. I've stolen a ton of parts from the other one. So I think we're close enough to fire it. I'm gonna throw some gas in it. My temp gauge, right as I got it ran back to the motor, it was old out of the other one, but the sender broke off of it. Like I said, fighting me the whole way. So I got a temp gun, we'll just use that, but I do have oil pressure hooked up. That's good. We'll make sure that that's where we need it to be. See if we got any sparks going on here, or if it's gonna burn to the ground. Ooh, that's loose. All right, jumper's on it. We'll give her what she needs. What is that hitting? was really starting to lose faith on that one. You could probably tell in the end we were struggling. This thing fought me tooth and nail every step of the way. But we got her here and she's done. She is back on the road. Is she perfect? Absolutely not. Rusty, crusty, sweaty, just how we like them. So we're gonna keep her just like she is for a while. I love the way it looks. I am definitely glad that we had that second van available. This thing had been sitting so long. Everything we were touching on it was rusty or seized or broke. So we ended up taking a lot of stuff off of that parts van that we had laying out back, and we're not done. We're probably still taking more off of it, you know, as we dive further into it and fix more stuff on it. But we got that other motor all spruced up. She's running like a top. I was nervous about the transmission that was in this van because I hadn't drove that one. She shifts smooth. Everything seems to be great. It's got that new clutch in there, so that probably helps it out. But boy, I'm stoked. Like I said, that one was taking a lot longer. She was getting me frustrated some of those nights, but we got through it, and look at the end result. I wish I had some photos to show you guys when I brought this thing home. I mean, my wife took one look inside of it and walked off. That was all she wrote, but look at her now. We got some more to come. Definitely, you know, we're trying to think of ideas of what we want to do with this thing. Go full boogie van, chop it down in the front, a sweet parts runner. You guys put down there in the comments, give us some ideas of what you think we should do. You know, if you got some cool thoughts in your head roaming around, shoot us our way. You know, we're open to everything, and something might come up that I like better. But thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like as always, and keep coming back. See what else we got coming.